everybody. Thanks so much for joining us right here on The Right View. Tonight, please welcome back one of our good friends, PragerU CEO, Marissa Streit. Marissa, welcome back. I think last time you were on, we did our Ladies' Tea episode, and I know we've had you on one-on-one before, but I recently was fortunate enough to go to the annual PragerU Gala, and you guys did me a solid and had it close to home for me here in Florida. Listening to you speak, first of all, was incredible. You did such an amazing job, but I felt like I learned so much listening to you. And I said, we've got to get Marissa back on the show and tell people about NewsGuard, because I honestly, I'm almost embarrassed to say I did not know about NewsGuard until I went and listened to you speak, and it's kind of horrifying. So, I mean, let's start there, because it is really a frightening thing. It is the left's new weapon for censorship. Tell our viewers a little bit about it.
So, Lara, I agree with you. It is horrifying. And I think anybody listening is saying, oh, there are all these horrifying things that are happening in America.
Yeah.
But I would say that this issue with NewsGuard is possibly one of the most dangerous things that we've ever experienced in the United States of America, because they are robbing us of freedom of speech, and we don't even know it. It's one thing if you live in Russia or China and you're aware of the fact that the media is controlled by the government. But when you live in the United States of America, you are assuming that there is actual free press, and you are assuming that there isn't a large entity that is controlling and hiding information. And so these self-declared fact checkers, NewsGuard, is a private entity that actually receives money from the government and partners with large institutions like the American Federation of Teachers. They partner with Microsoft. They partner with much of big tech. And what they do is they put pressure on media companies like ours to not speak and not report about certain things that they don't want to have reported on. And so let me give you an example of what happened to us and how I even figured out who this NewsGuard is. Like, who even cares, right? So a few years ago, we had all of our videos hosted on our PragerU website, but they were hosted by a company called JW Player. And essentially what many websites will do is they'll use a third-party company to host videos. One day I received an email from JW Player saying, PragerU, you are no longer our client. The contract is over and we don't want your money. Sent them an email back saying, well, why wouldn't you want our money? What's the issue? And so they responded and said that NewsGuard has labeled PragerU as a misinformation entity, and they cannot work with companies that propagate misinformation. And that is really what set us off in really investigating who are these self-declared arbiters of truth, who is funding them, and why are they so powerful? Why are businesses now refusing to work with entities that NewsGuard gets to label as the bad guys?
Yeah, and the places they receive their funding obviously are a big concern. You just talked about one of these teachers unions, right? That we know how they lean, and we know what their goals ultimately are, often to get Democrats elected. But I found it really interesting. One of the things I learned is they do tend to rate PragerU, Fox News, Newsmax, any sort of conservative outlets with very low ratings. And then you look at like the New York Times and CNN, and from what I recall, they had pretty good ratings, right?
I mean, it's so absurd. CNN gets 100 out of 100. Okay.
I mean, really?
The New York Times. I mean, remember the Russia collusion? They get 100 out of 100. And then you get the Federalist or Epic Times or PragerU, we get scores under 50. And so when they give a score that is under 60, they basically label you with this red label warning, and they say to these entities, well, you don't want to work with companies like Fox or Epic Times or PragerU or the Daily Wire, and they scare people off. And if you see who's on the board of NewsGuard, you can understand why people are so terrified. You have the former head of the CIA, who actually Publicis, which is one of the largest communication enterprises in the world. They do a lot of PR for big pharma, for Pfizer. They have given the seed funding to even start NewsGuard. I mean, does a light bulb go up when you wonder why they've attacked PragerU for being against the lockdown? The COVID lockdowns, they've attacked us so hard on that one. And you have folks from the World Economic Forum involved in NewsGuard. And so these very, very powerful entities are using a third-party fact checker to essentially suffocate American businesses out of speaking about things that they don't want to have spoken about.
Wow. And I think one of the scarier portions of this is that they offer this service for free to libraries and schools. And if I remember from the speech you gave, this is the schools will use the rating that NewsGuard gives to certain entities, and they'll say, well, this one got 100 out of 100, like CNN, so this is acceptable to have in a school. But PragerU, man, they got a low score, so that we're not allowed to utilize any PragerU information in the schools or something to that effect, right?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So they realized that they can do it in big tech, and then it didn't stop there. So they created this partnership with AFT, the largest teachers union in our country. They have close to 2 million members. And so all of these teachers are using the NewsGuard funnel essentially to censor out information that they don't want to have in our kids' schools. I mean, many of these are government schools. These are public schools. We are sending our kids to schools where NewsGuard is creating a shield and basically filtering out topics that they don't want to have brought up in schools. It's terrifying.
Yeah, I mean, it's bad enough, quite frankly, Marissa, that we have to see CNN on all the time at every airport in America, let alone like this is the information that's being given to our kids. And I mean, I would argue that the things that you guys do at PragerU, the information that you put out, the videos that you put out that really are made for kids so that they can understand sort of the foundation and the basics of America and our Constitution and, you know, our rights as American citizens. Those are very important. They're so well done. I think all of the videos that you guys do are great. And, you know, I love as a parent that you guys are doing this so I can share these things with my own children. And it's just kind of shocking that a school would not want to get the very well done videos that you guys do to kind of teach kids about these things. It feels like, though, and it's pretty clear that NewsGuard seems to be very proactive in targeting and eliminating differing opinions. And of course, we're talking about any opinions that lean conservative. And it really kind of feels like you guys at PragerU are very much in their crosshairs.
No doubt. They're seeing the type of impact that we're having, and we have millions of families like you who are showing our content, our pro-America, rational content to their kids. And they don't like that. They want absolute control over what's going on in schools. I mean, they have no problem with CNN 10, which is a kid product made by CNN with of course, a left-wing spin, but they give them 100 out of 100 so they can make it into the schools. And when they see that the impact that PragerU is having on America's future is so, so deep and so impactful, then we are the first that they're going to attack. But I'll tell you that we might be the first that they're attacking, but we're certainly not going to be the last. If they get away with attacking PragerU, they're going to continue to attack other entities, which is also why I say this is not just a PragerU fight. This is an all-American fight, right? That they're going to come after you. They're going to come after your podcast. They're going to come after every podcast that they can't control. And that is essentially the America that we're going to be living in if all of us just allow for this to happen.
Yeah, I mean, and it's bad enough, you go online, and I switched to DuckDuckGo as my browser. I don't use Safari anymore, and I don't use I try not to use Google because you know what that generates. And it's so amazing to see. I don't know if you and I talked about this previously, but if you Google my name, let me tell you, the most awful things will come up about Lara Trump. Of course, none of these things are legitimate. It's all garbage, and it's all just these like horrible hit pieces that some, like left-wing media outlet did about me or my husband or whoever's our family, obviously trying to smear all of us. But it's bad enough that we have that to contend with. And you really don't know. It's very hard to know, where do you find legitimate information? And then if you have NewsGuard out there trying to censor, in essence, PragerU or any other outlet that might call itself sort of a news outlet, so to speak. How do people fight back? I mean, I know Matt Gaetz a few weeks ago called for an investigation into NewsGuard, and I think that is 100% what needs to happen. I think we need to all learn more about it. It seems like they're operating in the shadows with sort of money. We don't know where it's coming from. We don't know exactly who's funding all of it. But what else can be done? Is anything else being done to combat this? Because it is kind of crazy that it's happening.
Yeah, I'll give a shout out to your CFO out in the state of Florida. Jimmy Patronis actually warned businesses in Florida that working with NewsGuard is actually going to effectively hurt them. I do think that more people are waking up. I realize that if I didn't know about what they're doing, probably most Americans would have no idea. And so the first thing to do is really win in the court of public opinion. We need the public to wake up. The public has been asleep and unaware because they have been working behind the scenes for quite a long time with people who are very connected with very deep pockets. And so America needs to be awake. We need to know that this is happening in our schools. It's happening in our media. It's happening in our business. I mean, really, they've played chessmate on us from every single direction. But the truth is on our side. The numbers on our side. I do believe that Americans believe in the freedom of speech, and they would fight for it if they knew what is going on, which is why we are spending 24/7 every effort we can in just informing the public that we are being robbed of our right, of our First Amendment right for freedom of speech. And the attacks are not just on us and on our businesses, but they're directly on our children. And it needs to become completely unacceptable. We need to also hold our elected officials accountable for protecting us Americans and our freedom of speech. We need to voice that. People who are running for, whether it's for president or governor or for any elected office, we need to signal to them that the freedom of speech matters to us. And it's a number one issue. If we lose freedom of speech, any of the other causes that we care about are going to be lost because we won't be able to advocate for them.
Yeah, it's so true. And I hope, I mean, that's why we're talking about it, because I think more people need to hear about this. Honestly, I was blown away with that information and the fact that it exists out there. I don't think most people have ever heard of NewsGuard. I think people need to start paying attention. And I mean, the truth is, it feels like just another step in some really sick Orwellian master plan that is being, put out there by the left or by these globalists or whoever is in charge of our country right now and is pulling the strings behind the scene, because we all know that you can't change things overnight. You can't, tear down a country, which essentially is what so many of these people want to do, and remake it in your perfect image. It doesn't happen overnight. But if you start with the younger generations, if you start by infiltrating schools and children in schools and changing the way they think about this country and changing the way they think in general about a lot of things, then ultimately you will have a future generation who is, I mean, gosh, you have to look at China to see. It's just like you're just raising up a bunch of soldiers who are going to tear down this country because they're told that they should hate it and it's racist and it's just an awful place to be. And that to me is probably the most frightening part of all of this. But I assume that is why this is being done, and that's why it's kind of infiltrated our schools at this point.
I mean, it's complete control. You're right. I mean, we know that education got us into this mess. Our kids are basically sent to school to be indoctrinated. They're not being educated. We're spending more and more funds on students every single year. And America is literally getting dumber. I mean, look at the test scores. Our kids are literally getting dumber. And why are they getting dumber? It's really because we have so many nefarious causes that are trying to, take a stronghold of our classrooms and not actually nourish them with, critical thinking and information and a better understanding of what America is about. Instead, we're teaching them how, America is a horrible place and how you're going to be lied to and how you don't have the ability to hear things and filter out what is what is true and what is false, and therefore you should allow the government to decide for you what you should hear. Like that kind of messaging is one of the reasons why we are seeing that college students are just basically incompetent these days, right? They come out of college and they actually cannot hold a job if they even want a job, right? Most of them want to depend on the government. And so, I think we have a big problem. And for a long time, we have been sitting idly by. I think many conservatives have been focused on either real pure politics or they have been focused on their businesses, but we have not focused on education. And so we've lost multiple generations of Americans who could have been educated and could have fought against this, but they simply have been brainwashed. I do think, though, that this is the era of the mama bear and the papa bear. I think the conversations that you and I are having on a regular basis is the type of conversation that parents are having all over the country, whether in Florida or in California, New York, Nebraska, wherever it is. Parents are starting to see what is happening to our kids. They're starting to see the control of the information. They're starting to see that the schools are failing. They're seeing the lowering of the test scores. They're realizing that, kindergartners and first graders once upon a time could actually read. Suddenly they cannot read. What is happening in America? The early sexualization of our children. All of those things, parents are waking up. I say this every time. I think this is our moment as parents to protect our kids, to fight against places like NewsGuard, to fight against the teachers' unions who have literally ruined America's schools, and frankly, the Department of Education. The Department of Education has so much money. Why are we giving them so much money every single year while they're failing us? Mm-hmm. They're failing our families, they're failing students. All they care about is their own power. It's pathetic. And so I think parents are going to wake up, and when you ask what should parents do, you do what you need to do to protect your kid. Get that energy of the mama bear and papa bear and do whatever you can. Do whatever God's gifts, whatever gifts you have from God, just use them to protect our kids and speak truth, right? Have the courage to speak truth.
Yeah. It's so funny, you talk about the people are waking up, and it's amazing because there are so many people who I knew prior to my father-in-law ever running for president, and these people certainly lean left, and I don't know that they voted for Donald Trump in 2016 or 2020, and that's fine. But I have heard from so many of them, whether in New York or California or Chicago, they are from all over the country, and they are telling me the reason that we moved, forget the crime, forget all the rest of it, the homeless situation. They moved because of the schools, and they didn't feel like the schools were teaching their kids what they should be teaching them. And it's not just people on the right, it's people on both sides of the political aisle. Everybody can see plain as day that you're right. The schools are failing our kids. Education is so sad. It's hard to even call it that at this point. And I think we need to be focused on fixing that. Our future leaders sure better be focused on fixing that. And I, again, want to give a shout out to you guys at PragerU, because you guys, it's almost like the perfect timing that people started hearing about PragerU, and you really got, I feel like the timing couldn't have been better, because there are so many parents who are desperate to find something like what you guys offer for their children and for their families. So thank you guys for everything you do. I know the fight is real, and you guys are really doing such an incredible job. What is going on? What's the latest at PragerU? Anything else you can tell us, even outside the battle with NewsGuard? Obviously that's important, but I feel like you guys have a lot of things going on right now.
I just want to say how meaningful it is to me that I speak all over the country. In Florida, we had that event with about 400 people. And I don't know if you noticed, but there were 3 full tables with mama bears. So they got a mom's night out, and they attended our event.
Oh, that's so cool.
I just think it's so cool. And like you were saying, there are a lot of classical liberals who never identified necessarily with the right, but are really realizing that freedom of speech is so important, education is so important. And so they are showing up, utilizing the PragerU services, downloading the PragerU app, putting it on their television, inoculating their kids against the garbage that they're going to learn in school, and just frankly getting educated, right? Our content is educating kids. And what we're trying to work on here at PragerU, straight out of Hollywood, is I'm hiring a bunch of classical educators that really know their stuff, the type of people that you wish your kids could learn from. And then we're hiring a whole bunch of folks out of Hollywood who know how to make fun, entertaining content. And we call it Hide the Spinach here. And so we make this these incredible shows that our kids absolutely love to watch. And parents are happy when their kids are watching it because they're going to get so much smarter. And so understanding Western civilization and civics and all of those things. And so we're continuing to build that, competing against the garbage of PBS, another government-funded entity that is really not doing service to Americans. We're, pretty much the future of that, the future of edutainment. We've also started a whole line of documentaries. So we did a couple in previous years, but we're going to make more of these short 20-minute documentaries. I think it's a perfect sweet spot because you get to dive into issues, but not necessarily feel like it's taking your entire evening. So we're making a documentary about masculinity because America needs real men, and we don't need men that are effeminate. We need actually men who want to step in and step up and protect us. And we're working on that one. We're working on a documentary called Unwoked Inc. And so really understanding why businesses that are going woke are actually going to go broke, and businesses that are declaring that they're not going to go woke are actually going to be rich, because a lot of Americans don't want to support this woke nonsense. And so there's a whole bunch of documentaries that we're working on. I'm super excited about it. And again, we just want Lara, I think that at the end of the day, as long as we keep the standards up for Americans and we invest in a society that aims to get smarter, we'll be in a better place. For your children and my children, I want them to be surrounded by people who are smart. And in order to make that happen, we need to provide people with proper education. And that's what we're here to do.
It's so cool. And honestly, I think we all have the same struggle, which is that every kid these days wants some sort of a device in front of them. So if you have to reward your kid with 15 minutes on an iPad or something, why not put them in front of the iPad with some education being infused in their brains and the great content that you guys have at PragerU. So I just think it's awesome. And I hope you guys keep doing what you do. And it sounds like there's more to come. So we will certainly stay tuned. But Marissa, I want to say thank you for educating all of us today about what's really going on out there. NewsGuard, it's really scary. I'm glad more people are learning about it. I'm glad people are standing up against it and realizing that it is stifling our freedom of speech. It is limiting what we are able to see and learn out there and what our kids are able to view, in schools and learn in schools. So I think we need to more talk about it is better than less. So let's keep telling people about it and let's get rid of it because it's absolutely terrible. But thank you for coming on and giving us a little information about NewsGuard. And I'm sure we'll see you back soon. So thanks for joining us today.
Looking forward.
All right. Thank you so much. And to everybody at home, as always, please remember to subscribe, like, and share. And we'll see you back here next time for more of The Right View. Thank you so much, Marissa. That was awesome and perfect. And I'm so happy. At The Right View, we're very proud of the fact that we are independent. We get to say everything that we think and everything that we feel. We have no woke companies guiding us or telling us what we can and cannot say. We are always going to shoot you straight and give you the facts as we know them. And that's why it's important to support independent outlets like The Right View. My name is Lara Trump, and I think Mike Lindell is a patriot. He is someone who loves this country, is willing to fight for this country. I love MyPillow because not only are MyPillows made in the USA by American workers, but they're great products, and they're so great that not only do I use them in my own bed at night, my children actually requested. My daughter the other day went to the closet and pulled out a MyPillow and said, "This is the pillow that I want to sleep with." And I gotta tell you, she loves it and will have nothing to do with any other pillow. So it's a big hit around our house. My dogs also happen to sleep on MyPillow dog beds. So all around the Trump household, we're big fans. If you go to mypillow.com today and use promo code Trump, again, promo code Trump, you will not only save money, but you will help us continue this show and other shows like it and help us continue the fight for the future of America. Inflation has impacted all of our lives. I don't think anyone can go to the gas pump or the grocery store without noticing that it is a major factor. And unfortunately, it's not going anywhere. It doesn't seem like it's going down in the way that we would like it to. And one way to protect your money is by investing in precious metals, gold and silver. That's always been a great way to make sure that you keep your money and you keep it safe. When you go to bh-pm.com, use promo code Trump. That way, if you decide you want to invest in gold and silver, you'll save yourself a little bit of money. We live in a time that's very interesting. A lot of us out there feel like a lot of our rights are slipping away. And if you're like I am and you want to have the right to choose whether or not to have a vaccine, how to live your life freely, and you're looking for a great doctor, I've heard amazing things about Dr. Sherwood. He's somebody who you should really check out and check into, and it'll help support this program and keep us going. So go to sherwood.tv and use promo code Trump. Again, sherwood.tv and use promo code Trump. You can save yourself some money and help us keep our program going.
Psst, ladies and gentlemen, this just in. We'll keep this a little secret between you and me and them and everybody. Whoa. The people that are actually at the tip of the spear, working directly with President Trump on a day-to-day basis to save this nation, they're all joining us on the Reawaken America tour. We have President Donald J. Trump's Chief of Staff, Kash Patel. We've got Peter Navarro's joined us on the tour. We have General Michael Flynn. We have Eric Trump. The people actually working at the tip of the spear with President Donald J. Trump to save America are joining us on the Reawaken America tour. Whoa. If word of this gets out, if the truth about election fraud, medical fraud, religious fraud, monetary fraud, and mainstream media gets out, it may just save the nation.
The Reawaken tour's coming to our place, hallelujah. It's gonna be lit. It's gonna be lit. Yeah, it's gonna be lit. Wide slam open.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, on May 12th and 13th, the Reawaken America Tour is coming to Miami, Florida, and to the beautiful Trump Doral Resort and Golf Course. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, the Reawaken America Tour is coming to Miami, Florida on May 12th and 13th. Get your sunscreen ready because General Flynn, Mike Lindell, Amanda Grace, Julie Green, Pastor Dave Scarlett, Dr. Judy Mikovits, Kash Patel, and Team America are taking the Reawaken America Tour to Trump Doral on May 12th and 13th. And then we're taking the God-fearing, revival-starting Reawaken America Tour into Sin City. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are taking the God-fearing Reawaken America Tour to Las Vegas, Nevada on August 25th and 26th. General Flynn and Team America will be taking the Reawaken America Tour to Las Vegas, Nevada. And the Patriots will be staying together at Trump International Hotel, Las Vegas, located at 2000 Fashion Show Drive, Las Vegas, Nevada, with zip code 89109 if you want to send them a letter. And yes, Alex Jones will be live and in person at the Reawaken America Tour, Las Vegas, Nevada. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, put it on your calendar. Get those tickets right now. August 25th and 26th. Eric Trump, Dr. Peter McCullough, Mel K, Dr. Stella Emanuel, Owen Schroyer, Alex Jones, Seth Holhouse, Pastor Mark Burns, Pastor Leon Benjamin. We're all taking the Reawaken America Tour to Las Vegas, Nevada, ladies and gentlemen. Las Vegas, Nevada. And that's going to be August 25th and 26th. Thus far on the Reawaken America Tour, we've featured Dr. Dave Martin, the late great Dr. Vladimir Zelenko, Charlie Kirk, Donna Clement Petruska, Sean Foyt, Karen Kingston, Chad Prather, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Dr. Alan Keyes, Mickey Willis, Roger Stone, Dr. Richard Bartlett, and hundreds of patriotic speakers that you know, including Del Bigtree, Thomas Renz, Sidney Powell, Jim Caviezel, Donald J. Trump Jr., Peter Navarro, Klaus Schwab, Yuval Noah Harari, Bill Gates, and the godless globalists have their annual meeting called the World Economic Forum at Davos. But we that reject the Great Reset have the Reawaken America Tour. coming to Miami, Florida, and coming to Las Vegas, Nevada. Get those tickets at time2freeamerica.com. That's time2freeamerica.com. We have scholarship pricing to make these events affordable for everybody. Every Reawaken America Tour event has sold out, so request those tickets today at time2freeamerica.com. That's time2freeamerica.com. Or for faster service, you can send me a personal text to 918-851-0102. That's 918-851-0102. And to be bilingually sensitive, that's 918-851-0102.
We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by the go. You know the thing.
We will shut you down. We will cite you, and if we need to, we will arrest you, and we will take you to jail. Period.
I wasn't thinking of the Bill of Rights when we did this.
But no amendment to the Constitution is absolute.
God actually spoke to me. He spoke about sacredness. He said to me, Kim, what I place in many, many people is sacred. And if anybody touches what is sacred to me, then it is the end for them. So what I've done in the United States of America is sacred. And there are people on every side that are trying to destroy what I deem sacred. And it's not going to happen.
This is the definition of criminal conspiracy, racketeering, and collusion. This is not a theory. This is evidence.
Because I have upheld this country to spread the light to the rest of the world. When you choose to go against the sacred thing that God puts into the very heart and the soil of this nation. This was sacred to God. Now is the time to act. This is exactly why I need some action from my people. Hello, everybody. It's an honor to be with you.